Jayam. The first chapter of Mahabharata had ended with Bhishma being blessed by his father Shantanu to be Swachhanda Mrityu, meaning death will not approach him without his permission. Now let's continue. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayed. Harihi Om. Thereafter, Maharaja Shantanu got married to Satyavati in a befitting manner. In due course, Satyavati gave birth to a son whose name was Chitrangada. After a few years, one more son, Vichitravirya, was born to them. Before Vichitravirya reached maturity, Maharaja Shantanu passed away. After discussing with Satyavati, Bhishma then crowned Chitrangada as the king of Hastinapur. Chitrangada was very brave and he defeated many kings and conquered several kingdoms. He believed that even among Gandharvas and Devas also, there was no one who was equal to him in strength and valor. Then one day, a Gandharva by the same name, Chitrangada, came and challenged him for a duel. Along the banks of the river Saraswati, in the divine battlefield of Kurukshetra, those two great heroes who were equals in name, strength and valor fought fiercely with each other for a period of 3 years. Gradually, the Gandharva gained superiority because of his expertise in Maya or illusionary warfare. Finally, that mighty Kuru king Chitrangada was slain by Chitrangada, the king of Gandharvas, who then returned jubilantly to his abode in the world of the Gandharvas. Even though Vichitravirya was still a child at that time, as desired by Satyavati, Bhishma installed him on the throne and ruled the kingdom on his behalf. When Vichitravirya was of age, Bhishma was on the lookout for suitable alliances for his marriage. Then he heard about the Swayamvaram of the 3 most beautiful daughters of the Kashi king. After discussing with Satyavati, Bhishma travelled to Kashi. At the venue of the Swayamvara, Bhishma was insulted by other kings who made references to his advanced age and his oath of Brahmacharya. Thereupon, carrying those 3 daughters of the Kashi king by force, Bhishma ascended his chariot, challenging all those powerful kings who were present there. Thus provoked, those kings took up their weapons and along with their huge armies surrounded Bhishma from all sides. But Bhishma single-handedly defeated them all and started his journey back to Hastinapur. Even in their defeat, those kings applauded and praised the great Bhishma for his courage and valor, something like which they had never seen before. On his return to Hastinapur, following the traditions, Bhishma donated the 3 daughters of the king of Kashi to Vichitravirya and then started preparations for the royal wedding. Amba, who was the eldest daughter of the Kashi king, then approached Bhishma and told him that she was in love with the king by name Shalva. If Bhishma had not brought her by force, she would have accepted Shalva during the Swayamvara. Amba then requested Bhishma to do whatever is right and appropriate. Bhishma summoned the assembly and after discussion allowed Amba to return to Kashi and to King Shalva. She was well taken care of by Bhishma, who provided her with royal facilities and an appropriate entourage for her travel. Thereafter, Vichitravirya got married to Ambika and Ambalika and spent the next 7 years in enjoyment with his wives, at the end of which he died of Rajayakshma or tuberculosis. Now, the kingdom of Hastinapur was without a heir. After a lot of thinking, Satyavati summoned Bhishma and requested him to beget sons in Ambika and Ambalika. But Bhishma, not prepared to go back from his sworn life of Brahmacharya, refused to do so. Satyavati tried to convince him repeatedly about the need of the hour being more important for the Kuru race. Quoting from the scriptures, Bhishma then replied to her that under similar circumstances, it will be appropriate to invite a worthy Brahmin of eminence and excellence for begetting children in the wives of Vichitravirya. Thereupon, with much hesitation, Satyavati told Bhishma about her son Veda Vyasa, who was born to her from Rishi Parashara before her marriage to Shantanu. Then she sought Bhishma's advice about inviting her son Veda Vyasa for this purpose. Even at the mention of Veda Vyasa's name, Bhishma, with his palms joined in respect, said like this: "O mother, your choice is most appropriate, and I am in full agreement with you." On receiving Bhishma's approval, Satyavati visualized her son in her mind with a lot of love and affection. The very next moment, Rishi Veda Vyasa walked into her chamber and offered pranam to his mother. Satyavati embraced her son with uncontrolled emotions. It was the birth of this son which made her life and destiny to change from that of a fisher maid to the queen and Rajmada of the Kuru race. Veda Vyasa then washed his mother's feet and with his palms joined in respect spoke like this: "O mother, who has adhered to the path of dharma, please command me. Whatever be your orders, it shall be carried out by me." Then the rishis and purohits came in and worshipped Veda Vyasa. Thereafter, when he was happily seated and when the two of them were alone, Satyavati talked to him like this: "O son, you have the power and vision to see the past, the present, and the future. Even then, let me tell you something that is in my mind. I wish that descendants of Kuru race may be born from you in Ambika and Ambalika." Vyasa agreed to give birth to great and radiant sons like Surya, but wanted Ambika and Ambalika to observe penances for 1 year, to be able to withstand his inner power and strength of spirituality. But Satyavati didn't want this to be delayed for a year. Then Vyasa said that if he is to beget sons immediately, then they will have to bear with him and his current attributes. Vyasa said, "They will have to accept me in my unbecoming and unattractive physical appearance, with me clad in the attire of the sannyasi, as also my unpleasant looks and body odor. If they will endure my ugliness with care and devotion, then that itself will be equivalent to the 1 year long birth, and they will be able to give birth to matchlessly great sons." Saying so, Vyasa disappeared from her sight. Thereafter, Satyavati approached her daughter-in-law Ambika and explained everything to her. Even though that glamorous and beautiful queen was unwilling to unite with another man, Satyavati convinced her that whatever she is suggesting is adhering to the dharma, and it is the custom which has been approved and accepted by the learned and wise men. Thereafter, Ambika took bath, did prayers, and gave food and gold to Brahmins and other deserving people. When the day was also appropriate, Satyavati told her, "O daughter, today your husband's brother will come to you. Please wait for him and take care of him and also make him happy and satisfied." Listening to her mother-in-law, she waited for him, dressed in a very charming manner. She decorated herself with gold and jewelry and wore garlands made of fresh and fragrant flowers. Satyavati had not disclosed Vyasa's name to Ambika. While she was waiting like that, Rishi Veda Vyasa walked into her chamber and approached her. Instead of the handsome male who was there in her mind and thoughts, here she saw a man with an uncouth figure and ugly appearance, someone who had never cared for his body and its attributes right from the day of his birth. She saw his long copper-colored hair kept on his head like a heap, all sticking together, and a untrimmed copper-colored moustache and beard and eyes blazing like fire. Unable to withstand his ugly physical stature, Ambalika closed her eyes tightly. Never again did she open her eyes or look at him till he left her. When Vyasa came out of her chamber, Satyavati asked him, "Will she give birth to a great son from you?" Vyasa replied, "She will give birth to a son who will have the strength of 10,000 elephants. He will be wise and learned and will beget 100 sons. But because of his mother's mistake, he will be blind." Satyavati said, "How can a blind man be a strong king? You should give one more son who will rule over this earth like Devendra." Vyasa agreed to do so and came back once again. This time, Satyavati had got the other queen Ambalika to wait for him. Just like Ambika was shocked earlier on seeing the rishi, Ambalika also could not bear his looks and appearance, and she turned pale at his sight. On his leaving Ambalika's chamber, Satyavati once again asked the same question to her son, to which Vyasa replied, "She could not bear with my physical attributes and turned pale. The son who will be born to her will also be pale, meaning whitish, and his name will be Pandu, like his complexion." By that time, Ambika had already given birth to a blind son as foretold by the rishi. Now Satyavati requested Vyasa to beget one more son who will be great and normal. Accordingly, she convinced Ambika to meet the rishi once again, this time with care and devotion. But Ambika, instead of going herself, sent her Dasi, meaning an attendant maid who was beautiful like an Apsaras. This Dasi welcomed Vyasa with her heart and soul and made him happy with her love and care. Thereupon, Vyasa blessed her like this: "From now, you are not a Dasi anymore. Henceforth, you will live like a queen with all royal pleasures and privileges. Also, you will give birth to such a son who will be the wisest among men and who will be accepted, respected, and applauded by everyone." That was how the great Vidura was born to Veda Vyasa. He was the reincarnation of Yamadharma, born on this earth due to the curse of the rishi Mandavya. Like that, 3 sons were born to Vyasa: Dhrutharashtra in Ambika, Pandu in Ambalika, and Vidura in an attendant maid or Dasi of Ambika. Later on, Vidura became the trusted advisor to Dhrutharashtra, who was the eldest brother, and also to Pandu, who was his second and elder brother. With the birth of Dhritarashtra, Pandu and Vidura, the Kuru kingdom reached the heights of its glory. Agriculture, healthy cattle, and trade and commerce were all at their best. With its forts and gates as high as the clouds in the sky, the city of Hastinapur shined like the heavenly abode of the Devas. There was neither poverty nor thieves in the Kuru kingdom. From their birth itself, Bhishma took care of Dhritarashtra, Pandu, and Vidura like his own children. Receiving the best of education, they grew up into their youth and became well versed in all branches of knowledge and Vedas. Among those who took up the bow and arrows, Pandu was matchless. In physical strength, even though he was blind, Dhritarashtra was the strongest among all. Among those who were the exponents of Dharma Shastras, there was no one to compare with Vidura in all the 3 worlds. In folklores and other forms of art, the Kuru kingdom was acclaimed as the heaven on earth. The daughters of the Kashi king, Ambika and Ambalika, were hailed as mothers of Braveheart princes. Bhishma, as the personification of Dharma, and Hastinapur, as the finest among cities, were praised time and again. Because of being blind, Dhritarashtra, the eldest brother, was not to be the king. Vidura, being born to a Dasi, was also not entitled to be the king. So finally, Pandu became the king of the Kuru dynasty. Dear viewers, this rendering of the Mahabharatam has been summarized from various word-to-word translations of this epic, the most important among them being the word-to-word translation of Kesari Mohan Ganguly, the full version of which is available on the net. Harihi Om.